Hello everyone, it's me, WalterTheGermanyBall, back with another video celebrating the 4-year channel anniversary of what you're watching right now. And for the first video celebrating this, apart from an update video, I wanted to dive deep into my 20 favorite video games of all time. Now, I tried to cut down on having multiple entries from the same series as much as I could, and having a wide variety of games. And there are a lot of games I love that aren't on this list because I only included games that, if reviewed, I would give a 5 out of 5. So it was tough narrowing it down, and it was also tough finding good choices at the same time. But I think I've made a good list. I think this is very accurate to how I feel, and comment down below. What are some of your favorite games? Maybe even show me your top 10s or top 20s. I'd love to know. But with that being said, I want to start with number 20, which is Untitled Goose Game. One of the funniest games I've ever played. This game came out in 2019, and I remember distinctly playing it and saying, finally, 2019 has another good game. Because, listen, that year was alright, and it had a lot of pretty good games, but nothing that amazing. But this was amazing. So I had played, Pokemon Sword and Shield and stuff that just wasn't that great. It was okay, it was passable, but Untitled Goose Game knocked my socks off. Literally. I mean, I laughed so hard at this game, and it's just such a creative concept. Now, there are a lot of games like this where they come up with some silly thing you can do. Oh my god, this is a fun gimmick. But they don't actually have good gameplay. This, you get the best of both worlds. You get a nice, interesting art style, you get some fantastic, hilarious gameplay, and you get quite a good amount of content for the price you're paying. Wholly recommend. Amazing game. And then for number 19, I have Streets of Rage 4. Now, I have reviewed every Streets of Rage game, which a lot of people actually don't know what that series is, so allow me to fill you in. Streets of Rage is one of my favorite classic franchises. On the Sega Genesis, there was a trilogy of games, all of which were good, but I think the second and third one especially were fantastic. They all had their issues, I think the second one needed more enemy variety. The third one, the difficulty could get unbalanced and the music was kind of bad. But let me tell you, the music in the second one was fantastic, and this first one also had good music. But then you get to the fourth one, which finally came out in 2020 after like a nearly 30-year hiatus, I think. I think it was 1994 to 2020, so yeah. 26-year hiatus, that's pretty long, but 4 finally came out with a beautiful art style, fantastic beat-em-up gameplay, tons to do, amazing characters who are all fun to play as. I think this might be the first one where I enjoy playing as every single character and don't just stick to one or two of them. Although my favorite is Cherry. She's fantastic, very fluid and fun to play as. But the music, man, the music was the best in the series by far. One of the best soundtracks ever. This is one of the most valuable modern experiences where you're not paying $70 for some cash grab. You're paying like $20 for a fantastic masterpiece experience. And now at number 18, we have Eco. Now this is a beautiful game, and don't ask me what my opinions are on the other two Team Eco games because I don't think you're gonna like them. But Eco, I agree with the masses that this is an incredible, amazing, beautiful game. The gameplay is fun. It's a classic puzzle platformer. The combat is a little bit janky, but still works, and it's pretty tense when you're trying to save the princess from the shadow monsters. So the gameplay is effective. The visuals are nice for the time, but what really sets this game above everything else is the atmosphere and the visual storytelling. The atmosphere of this game and the music is so oppressive and so bleak, but yet there's some charm still lying within. It's like a tortured soul. You can still see some hope and some light within it, even if it's very depressing from the outside. And Eco forces you to dig deep into the soul of this game, which is so corrupted, and find something that'll make you want to keep going. And especially when you save the game and they play the song Heal, one of the most beautiful pieces of music I've ever heard. To describe it well, there's actually a comment on the official YouTube video of this song, which says, "This is one of those types of songs that you want to crawl into and just stay inside." And I agree. It's just a comforting, warm, just incredible song. And this is a comforting, warm, incredible game, even though it is bleak with its atmosphere. It's also beautiful. And for number 17, we have another beat 'em up. But this one is even better than Streets 4. I'm talking Castle Crashers. This game brings me back. Now, I used to have an Xbox 360, and that's the only Xbox console I've ever owned. And I didn't play a lot of the big games. I didn't play that much Halo or Gears of War or anything. But I did play the crap out of Castle Crashers and Battle Block Theater, I believe it was called. Both super fun, sank so much time into those, and I have a lot of fond memories with them, but especially Castle Crashers. The humor, the charm of this game is unmatched. It's beautiful. Basically, everyone I have known since I started playing that game, if I bring up Castle Crashers, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, that game was so cute," and it was. It was so adorable. It was so fun. The gameplay was good. There were so many things to find, and it felt like you were really going on an adventure. So this game, simply for the nostalgia, it could be on this list, but it's also just a fantastic game that everyone should play, and just has an incredible atmosphere to it that I can't really describe. You just have to play it. And then for number 16, I have Jak and Daxter: The Precursor Legacy. I reviewed this game, but to very briefly summarize, fantastic platformer with an open world that is fun to explore, and you'll just get lost in this world. It's amazing. For number 15, we have another game that I've recently reviewed, Undertale. Just go watch that video if you want to understand why I love it, but beautiful and funny story. Funniest game I've ever played, even funnier than Untitled Goose Game. Fantastic characters and surprisingly fun gameplay for an RPG. At number 14, we have Horizon Zero Dawn. Now, this has gone way back on my list because of the sequel, and you realize, there are, of course, many flaws with this game, but this is, in my opinion, the definition of a flawed masterpiece, because even though there are things about it where I'm like, and I don't like it that much, like there are some difficulty spikes here and there, I guess. They're not that bad, but they're there. And the climbing isn't that amazing, the platforming isn't that amazing, and the traversal isn't anything to write home about. But the world is so creative, the story is so ingenious, the characters are so unique, the graphics are beautiful, the music is stunning, and most importantly, the combat and exploration and all the gameplay is some of the best, most addicting ever, in my opinion. So that alone launches it to being on this list and to being a 5 out of 5 game. Even after considering all of the issues, I still love this game, though not as much as I did before playing the sequel. At number 13, we have one of the best collectathon platformers, A Hat in Time. Yet another indie game that I really love, and I know I don't talk about a lot of indie games, but there are quite a few that have blown me away. I think Castle Crashers was one, Sayonara Wild Hearts, Undertale, Untitled Goose Game, and this one, A Hat in Time, makes Yooka-Laylee look even worse than it already is, because they came out the same year, and Hat in Time made like 10% of the money that Yooka-Laylee made, and yet it is 100 times better. It is an addicting game, fun from start to finish, adorable, and just some of the best platforming you can get in a modern game. At number 12, I have Uncharted 2 Among Thieves, which you should watch my review of because I go really in depth on why I love the game so much. But the tense, addicting gameplay, the story, the atmosphere, the winter levels is just incredible. And in my opinion, it's by far the best Uncharted. For number 11, I have my favorite game in one of my favorite series, Ratchet and Clank: A Crack in Time. This will be the only game in the series that appears on here, but damn, if I had to pick one, it's gotta be this one. Now, let, you know, just don't even think about the fact that the main story is entertaining, fascinating, fun, totally incredible, and never boring by itself. What makes this game even better than all the other Ratchet and Clank games is the exploration, because if there was none of the planetary exploration where you can freely fly around the galaxy and go to all these different mini moons, then it would still be one of the best Ratchet and Clank games because of the story, the puzzles, and the combat. No, no. It has that exploration, which makes it so fun. It makes it feel like you're really a galactic adventurer, whereas the other ones felt so much more linear in comparison. This is the best Ratchet and Clank game ever made, in my opinion, that I've played at least. I haven't played all of them, but nearly. And maybe Up Your Arsenal is better. I don't know. That's one of the only ones I haven't played. At number 10, we have the third best game to come out in 2020. Yeah, there will be two more from that year on this list. Hyrule Warriors: Age of Calamity. This is yet another game that I've already reviewed, but that review is old. But let me just quickly say, great combat, looks good, actually decent story, and yeah, it's all about the gameplay with this one. I hated the gameplay of the first Hyrule Warriors. I hate that game. It's repetitive, it's boring, it's annoying having to hear the same three sound clips again and again because there's practically no variation in the combat. This is different. This game, the combat is strategic. There's so much going on. It is fantastic. It's an addictive game. Really enjoyed my time with it. Then at number 9, we have the second best game of 2020, Spider-Man Miles Morales, which I've reviewed again, and I recommend watching all the reviews of these games because if you want more information on why I love them so much, if you're wondering, why does he like that game? I heard that one sucks or something. Then watch that, because that does a better job of explaining it. But Miles Morales, in my opinion, is even better than the original Spider-Man because it's more compact, it's more to the point. I like the story more, I think it looks better, I like the music more, I like almost everything about it more. And playing as Miles is way more fun than playing as Peter ever was because, well, you have electricity and camo, which are both awesome and add so much to the combat. It's just a fantastic sequel, in my opinion, even though it's not a direct sequel, and I can't wait to see what they do with Spider-Man 2. Although I really hope they find a way to make Peter as fun to play as Miles, because if I have to go back to Peter with none of the electricity or camo, I'm going to be a little mad. At number 8, we have Banjo-Kazooie, an insanely fun collectathon from 1998, which is also a year that's going to be pretty prominent on this list. Just incredible game. One of the most addictive, one of the ones that I can just pop in and just play. Unfortunately, I can't because, well, I don't want to pay for the overpriced Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack, and I don't own a Microsoft system, so I would not be able to, but let's just say I've played it a few times anyway, many, many times. I have just started a few levels and enjoyed myself, and it's just the kind of game that you'll get sucked into. There was one time I remember when I was playing it for the first time ever, I played and I looked at the clock and I literally realized that I had been playing for hours and I didn't even know. It's the kind of game that will get you hooked and you'll just want to keep playing. Fantastic, classic game everyone needs to play. At number 7, we have God of War Ragnarok, baby. Let me tell you. Okay, so the last God of War game was good, really good, great even. But I disagree with the people who are acting like it's the best game ever made. I don't think it even comes close, because there were things about it where I was just like, really? And with this one, there are still things that are wrong with it, like there are with every game. But Jesus Christ, it has some of the best combat in any game. I think the story is probably the second or third best I've ever seen. So, yeah, up there. It looks beautiful, the music's great, and what I really love is the performances, the acting, and the characters, and those mesh so well together to create a fantastic experience that I platinumed. I got the platinum trophy, even though it was very tough at points, against Gna and the Berserkers. But I was motivated, and now I am literally the king of this game. I can beat Gna in like 3 minutes. I've gotten really good at it because I was motivated to keep practicing and keep playing, and I love this game. Second best game of 2022, no doubt. At number 6, I have Super Mario Odyssey, the second best platformer I've ever played. It's amazing. Creative, fun, unforgettable. You need to play this game. Number 5 is Sayonara Wild Hearts, a game with a pretty good but very subtle story, an incredibly unique visual style, addictive and fun gameplay, lots of fun replay value. Even though it's a short game, you'll get a lot of bang for your buck because it's very easy to get drawn into replaying this one. And most of all, one of the best soundtracks ever. Maybe even the best video game soundtrack of all time. I love it. I listen to it constantly, and it sounds like it could have been from a real album. It doesn't sound like it's from a video game, and yet it also works perfectly with the levels. So you get the best of both worlds. You get a soundtrack that you can listen to as an album outside of the game and enjoy perfectly fine, and also one that heightens the experience of the game so much to make it even better. At number 4, I have The Last of Us Part 2. This is probably the first controversial pick on here, but I've been talking about how I love this game for years, and I do not care if anyone disagrees, because frankly, you're wrong, buddy. Listen, just a beautiful masterpiece of storytelling, of gameplay, of visual design, of music, of sound design, of acting. Every single thing about this game is nearly perfect. And if I had to pick one game that I think is like the perfect game, there isn't one, but this might be this still might be the closest game we've ever gotten to a perfect game, because there are very minor flaws. In my half-hour long review of this game, I had a segment about flaws, and I struggled to find any, because I just think it's such an ingenious master craft. The tone is so bleak and depressive, and just it makes me just happy thinking about how incredible this game is, and I love it. The people who made this worked so hard, and I am so happy that they did. But if you want a game where you don't have to sacrifice any aspect of it to heighten another, this is the game. This is the game where the story is the best in all the video games. The combat is masterful. The visuals are the best on last-gen systems that you can get, and the acting is just perfect. You look at a Hollywood movie where they talk about, oh, the acting's so amazing. Last of Us 2 probably is better. I haven't seen many movies in recent years where the acting comes close to The Last of Us 2. I'm not joking. The performances of Laura Bailey as Abby and Ashley Johnson as Ellie are some of the greatest in all of media that I've ever seen. They're right up there with Bryan Cranston as Walter White and Toni Collette in Hereditary. These are some of the best performances I've seen ever, and I'm talking outside of video games. These still hold up, and they make the story, which is brilliantly written and crafted to make you look into your own perspective, even more perfect. I love this game unapologetically. For number 3, I have The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and I am not saying a single word about this game because I have a massive review coming of it in a few days. So just watch that instead when it comes out in a few days, and you'll understand. I don't want to spoil anything, I don't want to repeat myself, so I'll just say, watch the review. I love this game, and you'll understand why. For number 2, we have what I think is the best game ever made. Now, you might be wondering, why would that be Last of Us 2? You know, you said that's the closest we've gotten to a perfect one. That's true, but this one, Horizon Forbidden West, is even more ambitious, much more ambitious than The Last of Us 2, with its scope, with its game, with its combat. Not exactly with its story, but it is a much bigger, meatier game that I think I could play for much longer. I haven't so far, but you're comparing a game that's been out for almost 3 years to a game that just came out in February of 2022. But yeah, Horizon Forbidden West, watch my huge review on that came out when the game was new as well, just to understand. But basically, the best open world in gaming, because of the unique tribes and biomes and machines that'll hunt you down and make traveling a real threat, but you'll gradually get more areas of the map covered so you can escape them, so you really feel like you're conquering the harsh landscapes of the Forbidden West and discovering so many unique characters. And I love the story of this game. A lot of people attack it as being boring, but listen, buddy, it's not. Okay, and I know people are like, oh, well, there's so much expository dialogue, and yeah, that's pretty common in a lot of games that people claim have an amazing story. Horizon Forbidden West isn't automatically a bad story because it has a lot of dialogue. Is it sometimes a bit much? Yeah, I can agree with that. But if you actually look at the themes, if you look at the character development, if you look at the banter between the characters, you'll find a charming, warm, humanistic story that does what another story that I hate should have done. I love comparing it with Death Stranding, which is, in my opinion, the worst game ever made. And if you're a Death Stranding fan, I'm very, very sorry, but get yourself checked by a doctor. And Death Stranding should have really been just about connecting with all these people. Everything was built around that, the separation of the United States, connecting to the isolation that we felt during COVID as social commentary, and Sam Bridges' awesome possum phobia, or however the hell you call it. There were things built around that to make a story all about connecting with people, and that's a genius idea until they make it all about ghosts and time travel into World War I and all this crazy and having a fetus and whizzing all over the ground. I mean, it's just like, why do you need all of this unnecessary crap to drive home the point? In Horizon Forbidden West, all you do, you meet with new people, you learn things about them, and they build this world, they build a threat that makes sense, that speaks to humanity and the rugged individualism that the far zenith threat have of protecting themselves over everyone else. They criticize that and they dig into social commentary better than Death Stranding ever tried to, because they didn't muddle it with a bunch of unnecessary garbage. Horizon is focused. It takes you on a journey with Aloy, seeing her character grow, seeing the world change, and it really speaks to issues in our world like, climate change and greed and all kinds of stuff that we're really battling with right now. It's a story that's important for the times, a story that should be remembered, but unfortunately people just aren't very open-minded, I feel, and they say, oh, it's boring. If you legitimately gave it a chance and you think it's boring, that's fine. You can believe that. But the truth is, I don't know how it's boring. And what I really don't like is how people claim that the gameplay is boring too. You're fighting robot dinosaurs. That's not boring, okay? People will be out here saying Death Stranding is a good game and then say Horizon's boring. Buddy, you're saying that you like the game where you literally walk more than the game where you fight robotic dinosaurs. Are you dumb? So even though it's not trying to be something brand new like Elden Ring or Breath of the Wild, that doesn't mean it's bad. Because if people can love Skyrim, which don't even get me started on how overrated that is. If people can love Skyrim, if people can love the Batman Arkham games, if people can love the Spider-Man games, if people can love Ghost of Tsushima, The Witcher 3, all of those are all typical open world games. In fact, all of them are more typical open world games than Horizon ever was. If people can love those games, even though they're typical, then people can love Horizon if they just give it a damn chance and stop listening to what morons on Twitter have to say. And that's my closing argument. Okay, and I want to close off by saying my favorite game of all time is Spyro the Dragon, the original. Nostalgia probably is a very large contributing factor, but I do not care. If there's one game I want to pop in and just play like 3 times in a row, this is the only one. And it's just infinitely replayable, infinitely fun, infinitely entertaining. Amazing. Masterpiece game. And yeah, those are my top 20 favorite games of all time. As I said in the beginning, comment down below what you love. What games are your favorites? I'm interested to know. And with that being said, everyone, be safe, everyone. I'll see you tomorrow with my top 20 favorite movies, which is a lot more interesting because I've never done a favorite movies list before. So I'll see you then. Be safe and goodbye.